Hey everyone, this is Tom Kraz. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Python script SMBrute. For those of you that have not seen my videos before or read my blog before, my main thing is CTF challenge. What is a CTF challenge? Take a look at the description below. You'll find a link back to my blog describing it in great detail. Often when doing CTF challenges, you come across samba shares. There are many different ways to exploit samba shares, but in this instance, we're going to take a look at the Python script SMBrute. This allows you to brute force a samba share once you have a username. As part of this, we will enumerate the username as well. We will create also a test environment, and yeah, let's get into it. So I've decided to try something new for this video. So in the past, I've always used something like Kali or Blackart, which are pen testing toolkits or distributions. But today I said I'd take a look at Ubuntu 2204, called Jammy Jellyfish, the names. It looks pretty good, I have to say. I'm impressed with the way it looks. It's smooth, the fonts are good, the terminals look great. My only issue is that sometimes the mouse stops working. I have to say I'm running it inside a virtual machine, inside VirtualBox. I had to use an older version of VirtualBox due to bugs I've had with the CPU core, but I have no other issues with any other distribution running inside VirtualBox, so I presume it's just early days and some like bugs. Mouse stops working, resolution goes a bit funny, but it looks good and I'm sure it'll all be fixed soon enough. So you can find all the details of this video over on my blog post for SMBrute. You'll find all the IP addresses, commands, dependencies, blah blah blah. In this case I'm just going to copy this docker command because I'm going to need this in a minute. Okay, so let's paste into docker commands, and before we run it, let's take a quick look at it, okay? So let's check our current directory. We're in root. Go into our docker directory. Go into our samba directory. These are all directories I created earlier. Let's say dependencies are in the blog post. And our docker command. Let's take a quick look at the command, right? So we've docker run -d, which is demonize it, -t makes it interactive, -network host. This is important. This attaches the Docker instance directly to our network instead of creating a network and attaching it to that. Then we've got the name equals samba, -v in our shared directory, -rm, which means don't run it or delete it after it stops. And then we've got the actual Docker image that's being run itself. Okay, let's give it a run. Yes, it's running up 6 seconds ago. Okay. So now let's jump into Docker. There's a few things we need to do inside here to prepare for our attack. We need to obviously create a user, and with that user we have to set a password. So let's take a look at the password file. There we go, we've got a user called Rio already created in the image. Let's set the password for this user. Okay, now we have to set the SMB password for the user, which can be different than the main password. Okay, that's done. Now let's exit out of this Docker container. Let's make sure it's still running. Let's run the logs in this window, so if anything goes wrong, we can see it. Hop over to the other console. Okay, and let's do an nmap against our local host, see if we can see the Docker posts open. Yes, they're there. Look, we have 445 and 139. Okay, let's do a deeper nmap against these things to see if it tells us any difference. We will use SC, which will run the default scripts, and SV, which will do the versioning of whatever's running on the port. This can take a few minutes to run, especially the SC one. Oh, here we go. Not too bad. We can see it's Samba version 4.6.2. Yeah, nothing really that interesting in it. Okay. So we need a tool called enum for Linux. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. If you're using Kali or Blackarch, it's there by default, or you can pull it from the repos, but on regular old Ubuntu, it's not there. So we need to create, we need to clone it down. So let's go into a directory called scripts and clone down the package, cd into the directory that it's cloned into. Let's give it a run, -U for user enumeration. Let's do storage enumeration first of all, because we know it's running on localhost. So we can see that there is a share called data. Okay, what about users? So this is running a pretty recent version of Samba, and we can still do this. So there's our users that we enumerated Rio. Okay. Now let's hop on over to SMBrute's GitHub repository, which I have linked somewhere in the web page. Yeah, here we go. So let's copy the URL and back to our scripts directory. Not much documentation on the GitHub page for SMBrute, but yeah, there's not much to it anyway. So let's go back to our scripts directory. Let's do a git clone of the SMBrute. Okay, so what have we got? The install script, license, readme, smbrute.py. Now, we need something here. We need a password file. There is a famous password file out there on GitHub called FastTrack. And FastTrack contains the top 222 databases, passwords for Unix systems. So there's a link on the blog on where to get to it. Let's take a look at it. Copy the URL. Back to our console. Let's do a cd up into scripts. Let's do a git clone. It's a wget. So there's our FastTrack file. Yep, looking good. Just be sure when you're wgetting files from GitHub, you're using the raw file. Otherwise, you get all the HTML. Okay, so let's Python tree the file, and we get the instructions on how to use it. So I've run this before, so I know what this means. So the usernames is actually a file with usernames in it, and the passwords is actually a file with passwords in it. So we need to create a file called users.txt and put our username into it. Rio. Okay. And I think that's it. We know what our target is. We know our username. Okay. Target is localhost. Users is the users file. Why is autocomplete not working? Have I got the name right? Did I do something wrong? Weird. Autocomplete's not working. Blah. What was the name of the file I created? Yeah, users.txt. Okay, so autocomplete doesn't work with this. Maybe it's a Python thing. Who knows? And password file is the FastTrack one. Okay, here we go. SMBrute. It's really fast. 222 passwords in this file. Ripping through them. Right. So it worked. So we got the password user. We got the password for the user Rio, and it's let me in. Just one thing to check. I want to take a look at the FastTrack file and see how far down this password was. So let's set the numbers. Set numbers. Number. Okay. Let me in. Let's search for let me in. And it's password number 217. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we went through 217 passwords. How long did that take? Let's just do it again with the time command, just to get an idea of how long this takes. So it's 217 passwords, took 7.4 seconds. That's pretty good. So, my name is Tom Kraz. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you found this video interesting. And I'll talk to you guys all soon. Oh yeah, by the way, check my blog out. You'll find way more details on how this works, including more details on setting up the labs, packages, requirements, directories, etc. Okay, bye-bye.